We're live. Is that your dog in the background?
She's dropping her bone at my feet. Like it's like a peace offering.
Yeah. So my dog just entered the room also. This might be about our dogs, but that's not our game plan.
No.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fridays with Sue and Steph. And our conversation today is how we were the best parents we could ever be before we had kids and how certain we were we would not be our own parents. Which, I feel like it's pretty universal that you grow up feeling powerless in your parents' home and you say repeatedly, I will never do that when I'm a parent. I will never say that when I'm a parent. Well, we can't speak for all of you, but we definitely made promises that we have not kept. So what's your first one, Steph?
Okay, my first one is my mom used to always say to me, I don't know, I'd be doing something for the first time, as a kid, obviously. And I'd be like, well, what if I don't know how to blah de blah? Or what if I can't? And I had a lot of anxiety. And my mom would say, you have a mouth, use it. You have a mouth, use it. And she used to say it all the time. So I didn't even realize that I had actually used it. So one day Lane comes home. Have you ever heard this story?
No, but did you mind that your mom said it? Like, did you vow to
I was
not
just always
say it?
kind of like, well, but it's scary for me. And, but she was like, you have a mouth. And I'm like, well, I know I have a mouth. But like, it was more like just not addressing like how fearful I was. Okay. So fast forward, Lane's probably like 12 or 13 years old. And she comes home from school and she's telling me a story about, like they went to order like coffee or whatever it was. And she said, yeah, my friend is like, well, can you ask? And she's like, I looked at her and I was like, you have a mouth, use it. Like, so obviously I've said it. It was not right.
Yeah.
Somewhere that passed along. That's probably my favorite one.
So the one that the one I succeeded at, it was the, in my house, you'll do as I say. So that one really, it made me feel like I had no place that was mine. Like there wasn't this like, well, close the door, it's your room. It was like in my house, which was the only space I occupied was in your house. So where could I be otherwise, right? And I kept that one. Like I don't think those words have ever come out of my house to my kids. We're very clear about like in your bedroom. I mean, as long as it's legal, do whatever you want, close the door, whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're horrified at what that looks like. Stephanie says, let's see. Oh, you want us all to pray for a family who, wow, he was one of my scouts and troop and unfortunately passed away this past Monday. His name was Parker. He was only 16 years old. He had a twin sister. He never reached out to the school counselors or anyone for help. So maybe a next coming topic. Yeah. We actually have talked about the topic of suicide and not typically on Friday because we're not experts and we don't want to put out their advice as if we are. But Stephanie, if you email us at editor@yourteenmag.com, we're happy to share some of our stuff that we've done around the topic. But we are obviously very sad to hear about this. And then the transition is kind of hard from that because, of course, we have their family in our prayers. We have his family in our prayers. But the, to take Friday as a lighter space for us, we're just going to offer up a few other times where, we kind of felt like we didn't want to replicate. We didn't want to be our parents. So I don't know a good transition, but I think we're just going to move into it. So Steph, do you have another one that maybe you did follow or you didn't follow?
Well, so, okay, here's another one. So when I was a very picky eater and nothing could touch, right? Like everything had to be separate. Which is funny. I married a picky eater who also had to separate his food. But let me repeat that. Still separates his food. So I think it started with the kids, but I'm not sure Todd is exempt from this conversation because I will say things like, why are you separating your food? It's all going to the same place. I'm like, oh my God, that was my mother's line. It's all going to the same place. Like, why? Like they're so silly. And I feel like I can't help myself. My sister and I have talked about this where even if I don't say it, it's running in my head and I have to stop myself from saying it, which I actually think is as funny of a topic in my opinion.
Well, I have two friends that I meet for coffee once a week, and we had this stretch where we would go and brag about what we didn't say.
Oh
Like
yeah, it's a good one.
the thing that was running in our heads that we knew we were better off not saying, but often would say. And so there was something celebratory about getting to come and brag about not saying it that kept
It's
me
so
through the
true.
week. It kept us through the week. It was great.
All right,
Okay,
what's
so
your next one?
my next one is my dad followed us around the house, turning off the lights after we left the room,
Such a
and
good one.
it was so annoying. Like it's almost like my mom would clear the plate before you were done eating.
Oh,
It's almost like they're moving on before you're done,
yes.
and like yeah, the light might stay on a little too long, or even forever. But it was such an annoyance growing up, and I would say that I don't notice lights until people go to bed. Like I don't care if the lights are left on during the day. That doesn't bother me. But when the last person goes to bed and I either wake up in the middle of the night or get up in the morning and the lights are on, I'm like, turn the lights off. Like
Yeah.
just turn the lights off. So I might be a little bit of half of my father, but not all of my father. I think a lot of people mind when the house at night is not.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was just thinking I have half of that where it's like, oh my God, could someone freaking turn the lights off? Like this is ridiculous. Do we own the electric company? That's right in that same thing. And then I walk around turning lights on. I'm like, oh my God, why are you reading in the dark? So it's like I feel like I'm walking around like flipping everything up and down. Wait, I had another one. Wait, I have to go back and look at my notes. Oh, okay, here's one. And this so relates to like what's in your head and what I want to join your chat about things you haven't said. Okay. So something is happening with a kid and they didn't get something they wanted, right? And in my head, I'm thinking exactly what my mom would have said, which is, well, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Which is so not validating and so
dismissive.
It's dismissive. And in my head, I am thinking, well, that wasn't meant to be. But I have to stop myself and instead say what we've been taught, which is, oh my God, that must be so disappointing. I know you're disappointed, right? Just sit there in it with them for a second, right? But in my head, I'm like, oh, that wasn't meant to be. So I'm like, oh my God, stop the train.
All right, my last one is that I was tough as a teenager in walking around with so much embarrassment, like just all the typical things, like don't sing, don't dance, don't talk to strangers. Like that was a big one of mine. And my mother, her mission in life was to make friends in the most randomest of places, like taking a bus trip somewhere and having a lifelong friend. I mean, I don't mean just being polite, but like exchanging numbers, exchanging addresses, sending emails, sending greeting cards for the rest of your life. It went from embarrassing to just super annoying. And I thought, like, I'm not going with you if you're going to do that. Actually, when I say I thought that, I didn't think that. I said that. I would say as a teenager, like, if you're going to talk to other people, I'm not coming with you. It's too embarrassing. And it turns out as an adult, I think it's like kindness to talk to strangers. And I don't know if that's what motivated my mother to talk to strangers, but it certainly didn't feel that way as a teenager. And my kids can't stand it about me. Like, really can't stand it about me. And my husband can't stand it about me. Like, I now have rules around, like, when I've crossed the line, if I say, hi, how are you? Where are you from? Like, if you're out of town and you go, so where are you from?
That extra sentence, right?
That's a line cross. Like, there was no reason for that. So I get edited around the same exact issue of what I edited my mother for. And not because my kids are teenagers or my husband's a teenager, just because I annoy the hell out of them. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so classic. So my mom was the same, is the same, makes friends everywhere. Like the big joke is my dad would be like, oh yeah, so Hera, when are they coming over for dinner? Or are they having, dinner with us next Thursday? I mean, running joke in the family forever. So I've really tried hard not to do it because my inclination, and I thought it was because I moved around a lot. Maybe it's just personality that I'd be like, oh, where are you from? Like trying to find that commonality. Okay. But one of our kids, Ethan, like since he's a little guy, he would say things like too much people. 2 years old, 3 years old, too much people. So we still say it, too much people. Does not like a lot of people. So I always think we're hiking near where he goes to school, and he's like, oh, there are going to be a lot of people on the trail. I'm like, Ethan, it's one of the most and it was like National Hike Day or something. So I'm like, oh, dude, like there's going to be a lot of people, whatever. So it's polite. You're passing people. Hi. And I just will always remember he looked at me and just in his very dry way goes, I die a little bit every time I have to say hello to someone. It's a funny line.
I think a little bit for me was moving to the Midwest because Dan and I were living in Manhattan where you avert your eyes. And then when we got to the Midwest, people were so friendly that I would look around to see if they were talking to someone else because I didn't know them. Why were they being so friendly? And then I realized how much it made me feel like I was present and someone saw me. So I think mine was very much about coming to the Midwest where people maybe talk a little too much, but at least they see you. They don't just walk by you. So, so to my kids, like maybe you belong in New York.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we are not here next. Oh, do you have something else to add? Sorry, don't want to cut you
off. I got nothing.
Okay. So, we are not here next week.
Right.
We will be here the week after. So everybody enjoy the next 2 weeks. We'll miss seeing you. And Stephanie, again, we send prayers to his family. And we're thinking of you and the community.